welcome to part 2 of this tutorial. Now we're gonna start off our front panel with a chain of 200. So once you have 39 chains, we're going to insert a stitch marker into the 39th chain. And this is actually half of the width of our back panel, as you can see here. So this is our back panel, and 39 chains is half of this. Yeah, so we're just going to continue chaining until we have 200 chains, but if you prefer a longer strap, you can add more than 200. Once you have 200 chains, we're just going to work a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook and continue working a double crochet for each of the chains across until you get to the end of the row. Okay, so at the end of the row, we're just going to chain 3, turn our work, and work a double crochet for each of the stitches across until we get to the stitch marker stitch. So now we will work the row number 3, which is the decreasing row. So we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. And this will count as a 1 double crochet decrease or 1 double crochet 2 together. So this will count as 1 stitch. Yeah, so we will just continue working a double crochet in each of the stitches across. Okay, so now we will be working on row number 4, which is a non-decreasing row. So that means we will not be decreasing any stitches for the next row. So chain 3, turn our work, and we're just going to work a double crochet across for each of the stitches. So again, row number 3 is a decreasing row and row number 4 is a non-decreasing row. to be careful on this part of the row because this kind of looks like it has 2 stitches, but it's actually just 1 stitch. So I'm just going to work my last stitch in there. So now we will proceed with the next rows. So since we started off with 39 stitches for row number 2 and we did a decreasing on row number 3, so row number 3 has 38 stitches, and since row number 4 is a non-decreasing row, then we still have 38 stitches in there. So from here, you're just going to keep on repeating row 3 and row 4, decreasing and non-decreasing rows until you have a total of 26 stitches. So do that and I will meet you guys later. Alright, so I have now 26 stitches and we're now ready to do the mesh row. Let me see if I can zoom. Okay, so for the mesh row, we're going to chain 3. We're going to chain 4, turn our work, and then we will skip the next stitch and work a double crochet into the next stitch. And then we chain 1, and then we skip again the next stitch and work a double crochet into the next stitch. Now we will do the same thing, the same pattern for each of the stitches across. Do that and meet me later when you're at the end of the row. Okay, so once you have your first row of mesh, we're just going to repeat again what we did in this row. So chain 4, turn your work, and then we're just going to do the same thing for another 7 rows. Yeah, so we have a total of 8 rows of mesh for this part. Alright, so I now have a total of 8 rows of mesh, and now we're ready to start with the border on the side. So we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to work a double crochet in each of the rows, but also in each of the stitches. Yeah, so double crochet into the first row of mesh, like so. And another double crochet into the stitch. Again, a double crochet into the next row, and again double crochet into the stitch. So you're basically going to repeat this all the way across until you reach the bottom part. So once you reach the bottom part, we're going to slip stitch into the third stitch or the third double crochet from the stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, and then we insert our hook in there and do a slip stitch. And then we're going to again do a slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. Yeah, so now we chain 1, turn our work, and from here we're just going to do a double crochet for each of the stitches across. So first double crochet into the first stitch from the previous row. Do that until you get to the last stitch. Okay, so once you reach the end, for the next 2 rows, we're just going to repeat this row and this row. And for mine, I will be using a different color of yarn. I will be using this for the next row. So go ahead and just continue repeating row 1 and row 2 of the border. You can also just skip this part if you prefer to continue with the same color of yarn. So again, repeat row 1 and row 2 of the border. Okay, I may have forgotten to explain this part. So this stitch, let me see if I can zoom. This stitch right here is technically the same as the stitch where we did earlier, where we placed the stitch marker, this row. So if we would remove the stitch marker and put it in the stitch, like so then we would have the same thing as we had earlier for this part of the row. So what we will do then is, okay, we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and on the 3rd stitch we will work our slip stitch. Yeah, so it's just the same as what we did earlier in the previous rows. So slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. Yes. So I hope you got that. It's just basically a repetition of the previous rows. So chain 1, turn your work, and then just continue working a double crochet. Alright, once you finish with your border, we're just going to cut our yarn. And I did about probably 15 inches. I don't know, it's too much, but it's fine because this is for the seaming, so that we can weave we can connect the front piece to the back piece. So just go ahead and repeat exactly the same pattern as what you did in the beginning to make the second part. Okay, so I now have my 2 front panels. Now the idea here is to seam the shoulders and the side part. So let's go ahead, get your yarn needle, and let's do that. So I have here my front panel over my back panel. So remember that when seaming, we're going to turn the 2 pieces inside out. So we're going to seam our shoulders like so. So get your yarn needle, or better your hook if you prefer, and start seaming along the side. So you can do this with a yarn needle, but you can also do a slip stitch or a single crochet. It's totally up to you how you prefer to do the seams. Once you're done with the shoulders, we're also going to do the side. So we're also going to seam the side part, but you need to make sure that you leave enough for the armholes, so we're not going to stitch this part. So after that, we're also going to do the other side as well. Okay, just as a tip, you can also take the measurement from the other side and do that as a reference for the seaming on the other panel, or like what I'm going to do with mine, I will be counting the amount of stitches from here to here and use that as a reference, as a marker to do my seaming. Okay, so I have 27 double crochets right there, so I will also use that stitches for the other side. In this way, we will know that our work or our other panel is even. So just continue from here with the seaming, because I think this video is now getting too long. So from here, I will just say goodbye, and I will see you guys next week on the part 3 of the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.